Welcome to another edition of 12.5 Minutes. My name is Jared Kelly, and I'm with my friend and co-host Liz Whitehead.
Hi, Jared.
How are you?
I'm really good. Spring is springing. We're good.
Spring is spring. We actually are going to have some nice weather here in Chicago tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to it. And it also reminds me of something that I've committed to, which is my mental health. And we have a special guest today, right?
Yeah. We're going to talk to Michelle Cauley, Cauley and Associates. She's a licensed social worker and a cognitive coach. And what I really liked when I was looking at her website and reading about what she does, she helps you rewrite your script so you can get on with living your life. So I'm excited to talk to her about that.
And this is the perfect time. Clearly, we have a lot of things going on in our nation. We have things globally that people might be concerned about, but also personally in our own homes. So let's welcome Michelle to the show. Michelle.
Good morning.
Good
Morning.
Hi, Liz.
morning.
Hi, Jared. How you guys doing?
Good, good.
Excellent.
Jared, I love that you said you're also working on your mental health. We should all be working on our mental health all the time. Because it's just it's life is lifing every single day, right? So yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that statement comes from so many things that I think we as just humans face, right? Is, working on your personal health, your physical health. Um,
Mhm.
it comes in various forms, and
Mhm.
the mental health sometimes gets ignored. Um, and that's why I think it's a perfect time to kind of hear a little bit about how you started this journey, because clearly this is a special space that you're in terms of helping people and creating impact. But how did you get started doing this?
Well, the story was, I'm just being silly. I'm originally from Texas. I was born and raised, I grew up on a farm, and my parents were, I think I was that oops child. And they were in their 40s, and it was, you go to church, you do the farming, and it was all about community, and everyone helped everyone. And so it was just kind of like that's just what you do. Someone had a fire, we would have a bake sale, we would have a yard sale, so all of those things. And my mom baking pies and helping, and then my dad, a small town entrepreneur. So I think I pulled from both of them. And of course, one day I said, I want to help people too, but I need to be able to pay my bills to be able to do that. So I'm like, how can I, monetize it, but do something that I love that brings me joy, but also I want to work for myself. So it was kind of a blend of both my parents.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's so neat. I like how you said that. And I feel like we've gotten away from that kind of community a little bit. Like we our our world still operates as if there is that community. Like we were just
Yeah.
talking about like school and stuff. Like school doesn't seem to know that everybody has two working parents now, or if however many parents they have, everyone's working.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
so it's like we're still operating like we have that community, but a lot of us don't.
A lot of us, but we need it, because really, and this is not something that I made up, but research shows that the thing that sustains us and helps us over time is connection. It's not the tangible things, but it's the connection. Or like when I work with older people and they are actually at the end of their life and they're recounting and kind of creating a narrative, it's the connection. Or when I in my 20s or in my 40s, or and so that's really what community is. And so of course when I start to work with someone, one of the first things that I ask is, who's your support system? Some people have huge support systems, some people, they don't. And our support system doesn't have to be our family or our community. So but yeah, so connection is important, community is important still today. That's how I got started. And then all of a sudden I'm not on that farm, but I'm in Los Angeles. And so yeah.
That actually gives us a little bit of insight into to where you started, but a little bit of insight into how you're growing as well. So give us an idea of maybe the populations that you see and kind of maybe some connection to those
Yeah,
populations.
sure. So, um, I'm in Los Angeles. I, go to school, get my degrees and credentials, and I start my practice. And of course, I was like, I just want to have a practice. I want to work with everybody, right? Because I'm new and I'm learning. And so that's kind of how it started. And it was adults, it was children, it was everyone. And then eventually along the way, I'm like, actually, I don't want to. When I had my own kid, I said, I don't want to work with kids. I just want to work with my child personally. I just want to work with adults. And so now my practice is adults. Everyone's 18 and up. We specialize in individuals, we specialize in couples. And within those two brackets, I mean, and I have four of the therapists that work for me. So there are five of us total. Everyone has different specialties and focuses. Mine are depression, anxiety. I do a lot of grief work. And I also am a cognitive coach. And I got my coaching certification about 10 years after I got became licensed as a therapist. And so my approach is what I do is I marry the two. And so if someone comes into my office and, they're really, they're having a crisis or they're really deep in depression or having a difficult time, I'm a therapist. I have my therapist hat on and that's my focus. But if I'm working maybe more so, let's say with the executive or someone that's having you know some issues with business or their boss or a merger or something like that, I might put my cognitive coaching hat on. And so I tend to blend the two in its work. And so with cognitive coaching, what that means is really thinking about emotional intelligence, self-awareness, social awareness, how do you manage your emotions, which
Mhm.
is not easy. Grown people, it is not easy sometimes managing your emotions because it's like, well, I want what I want when I want it, and I want it right now, you
Mhm.
know? So,
Mhm.
it's amazing. So that becomes the conversations and really trying to dig deeper and asking people why. Well, why? Well, and I'm like, nope, nope. You're leading with you're frustrated. I need you to get to the root of it. Let's dig deeper. So cognitive coaching really is about thinking about yourself and how you show up and really cognitively, how do we think? How can we restructure our thoughts? So anyway, that's my focus. And so we serve two audiences, the regular Joe Blow. Someone comes in, oh, Michelle, my wife wants a divorce, or um I'm just overwhelmed and I'm having a hard time and my husband doesn't help me with the duties at the house, or my teenage daughter is blah, 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 whatever. And then there is the corporate aspect where we go in and someone might say, um, I don't know, an organization just say, hi, Michelle, you know what? We want to put you on retainer and bring you into our office once a week and put you in an office so that you can see our employees. Right.
Mhm.
And so it could be me or it could be someone else that works for me. Or someone might say, you know what, we realize that the culture at our office is a little toxic stuff going on. So we want you to come in once a month and do some workshops on working with difficult people or anxiety in the workplace. Or one just happened yesterday. One of my therapists, an attitude of gratitude, which I love. I was like, So anyway, that's kind of what we do. So it's not just therapy. That's our foundation. But then, of course, it's so much more. And it's really about just helping people function every day. Okay, I feel like I talked a lot, so I'll stop.
That that's great. Well, I love how you talked about growing your own business, but then also the impact for other people in business with your cognitive coaching. And
Mhm.
and you had some great stats on that. What are some of the benefits and the impacts you've seen for companies that implement this kind of thing?
Yeah, well, a couple of things. My practice turned 21 years old in February. I don't know how
Ah,
that happened. But I'm grateful. 90% of our clients that come to us have come back. And I really think that, I first of all, makes me happy and I'm grateful. But really, I think it's because the work that we do. And I think what I lead with is always just doing quality work. Sometimes, if I can't always do this, but sometimes a person is like, I want to see you, but I just, I lost I can't, I'm like, you know what, just come in, get the help. You know what I mean? So we really want to help a person. And even when times have been, like we have a 2-month wait list, but if a person was like, hey, I was at Cauley Associates 5 years ago, we always try to make a way because I know how hard it is to connect with someone, to start your story over, to have to go somewhere and like, my therapist, they're not taking anyone. So 90% of our people have come back. People come in, they get what they need, they go on their way, which is great, right? They got the skills, they can operate. And then all of a sudden, life happens again. Some hiccup, you didn't foresee. And then they're like, Michelle, I want to get back in your rotation, or Heidi, or Aaron, or, or someone. So that feels good because that means that there's something. The other thing in terms of workplace, and within workplaces, people work and, they have their insurance. Some workplaces have what's called EAPs, employee assistance programs, which is a benefit. And then some companies have, which some of the people that we work with, is like a VIP concierge benefit, as opposed to getting a list, here's an 800 number, call, and, where it's kind of like a warm handoff. But what happens is companies that have something like that in place, the retention is higher, it shows more value, people get the help that they need. It's just more benefit, it's less turnover. I mean, so it's just good all the way around. I need to take care of my physical health, right? Maybe I have high blood pressure, maybe I have high cholesterol. Well, maybe I'm stressed out. Well, we know that when we're stressed, we're not clear, we're not focused, it's hard to function, it's hard to think, you're frustrated. So that impacts the bottom line, which is doing your job and making money. So
And I would add to that, from a perspective of the opportunity, especially with growth, that Liz was alluding to. Um,
mhm.
the opportunity is enormous right now, and it might change, but there are groups of people, and I'm thinking just from entrepreneurial standpoint,
Mhm.
entrepreneurs having their own types of stress, and then you have executive corporate business leaders kind of having their own type of stress. But even that stress is just one line
It-
of stress. Like,
that's just
it's not
one
the
of them.
whole person. It's not the whole person.
Open up a bag and pick one.
Yeah, yeah,
Open up a bag and pick. That's just one stress. So yeah, whether you are a business owner or whether you are working for corporate, I mean, in terms of today, I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty. The one thing that is guaranteed for stress and anxiety is uncertainty, because we are a people that want to know. I do too. I want to know too, but we don't. Every day is like, okay, so now what? But wait, that was still last week, but now what?
right. And they're stacking on each other. So, something that's unresolved, then you get something new that's on top of that, and you didn't get the last thing figured out, and something else kind of
And
attacks
so
you.
then what happens? So look, I just say to people, one of the tidbits I get is I said, look, think about this. How much control do we have? You know, we don't control all that, but we control that much. And so and I know it's simple, but really think about what we control. I can think about how I'm going to respond and not react. And so what happens is if you think about that and stuff that we can't control, we just have to reel ourselves back in.
Great. I like that. We have to respond, not react.
Yes, because there's a difference, right? Responding is like, okay, I'm gonna think about it for a minute, a few seconds, but reacting is, oh shoot, I put my foot in my mouth, I said something, now I gotta kind of walk it back, so yeah, so I just tell people to think about that. And it's just, yeah, uncertainty it brings about anxiety. not knowing.
One quick question before we start to wrap up. I do wonder, um, how do we navigate people towards getting help?
Getting help. Yeah,
Getting help,
yeah,
because I know there's, there's resistance to some, there's confusion about what it looks like, there's cost, associated, like, what if
yeah.
you know people, like, what would you recommend in terms of getting
All those. So the first thing we should do is start to have more conversation about it. Just normalize it, right? I can say this, I'm Black. What? You getting therapy? Oh, well, you must be crazy. Oh, that boy's been touched, or you never been dealing with the full deck. I mean, so all of those, so what happens is language like that and the hee hee ha ha about it really it continues with the stereotype. And so people were like, well, go get help, or I have to keep it a secret. But if you were to just like, I have a lot of stress going on and I need to talk to somebody. So really changing the language and encouraging your friend or your child or something, or you know what, I'm going to go with you to the first appointment, or let me help you look, or what type of a therapist do you want? Do you want a male? Do you want someone that looks like you, that has, lived experience? And in terms of the cost, there's lots of options. Do you have insurance? Are there clinics that have sliding scale? Am I employed, and does my employer have a benefit like an EAP? I mean, so as opposed to just saying, oh, that's for crazy people and I can't afford it. I'm like, well, you've already, no, dig in and just kind of support, and get some help. Someone said to me a few days ago, Michelle, I feel like I have so much going on that if I get started, I may not come back. Because they are so, and I said, well, you know what? You can either stay where you are and do nothing, or we can just start one little bit at a time. Just let it out. Because we get in our head as adults, and there's a lot going on up there in our head, in everybody's head. So that's where I would say start. Have the conversation, lighten the conversation up so that it's not so, something's wrong with you, but it's not. It really takes the more in-depth person to come into therapy and have a conversation. And I tell people, we're just like what we're doing. We're just having a conversation. If I'm feeling a pain, I'm not gonna, I'm gonna go see a doctor at some point. The same thing for mental health. Mental health and health is the same thing. They're no different. No different. If I have a lot of back pain, I'm gonna feel like crap, right?
Yeah, that's so useful. That's a useful framing.
Yeah.
And it also goes back to something that we made a mistake within the United States, at least, is that healthcare became just reactive, right? I have symptoms,
Yeah.
I respond or react to symptoms, I go get treatment,
Mhm.
or get consultation about it.
When something is happening. Yeah.
That
Be proactive. I've had my therapist, the same therapist, for 15 years. And people are like, you have a therapist? I'm like, yeah. When working with everybody, I too need to go look, So yeah, I have to take care of myself. It's important,
Absolutely.
and I mean, I practice what I preach, but I believe in it because I'm the beneficiary of it. It helps me when I get to take care of myself so that I can be there for others, whether it's my clients or my employees or so on. So,
Wow. Well, Michelle, thank you, thank you, thank you. We don't have more time, but we need more time with you. So
okay,
we'll have to do this again.
let's do it again, part 2.
Yes, that's part two. We might need to do podcast therapy every month. Who
I
knows?
like that podcast therapy. Hey, everybody needs it, right? You can get a nugget here, you get a nugget there. Well, thank you, Liz. Thank you, Jared. It's so cool to see y'all.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. It has been a pleasure. So
Okay.
thank you.
All right. You
We'll
guys
talk to you
take
soon.
care. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Liz, what did
Well,
you think?
I think you asked probably the best question, which is like, how do we get started? Like, how do we direct ourselves and other people to this when they need it? And I think the biggest thing is uncertainty, right? There's always uncertainty. Nothing's certain, but I think right now feeling it in a particular way, both in our work, we talk a lot about business, but also with the connections that people we have. And that's the most important thing. It can be like the biggest thing that's going to keep us healthy, our connections in our community. It can also be a source of strife when we're feeling, when other people are feeling uncertainty and we're just kind of swimming in it now. So I thought that was a really important way to just get started.
It's an important conversation. I think you're exactly right, and this is something we should definitely continue. There's a lot going on in our world, and like I said, down to our homes. This is a continuing conversation. I think you hit it on the head. The uncertainty is the driver, and at the very least, we can acknowledge and start to manage how we respond to that uncertainty. So, another great episode of 12.5 Minutes. My name is Jared Kelly. This is Liz Whitehead, and we are out of here.
Bye.